It didn't seem so far-fetched a possibility as it once might have done. Even the sanest of gentlemen could be harassed to the point of hallucinations. But a boy on his neighbour's roof? It seemed a curious choice, as far as delusions went. Tristan abandoned his port on the corner of his desk and crept closer to the window. He closed his eyes, drew in a deep breath, then snapped them open again. Blinked. There was a boy lying on the roof of Lord Everleigh's pediment. He was a puny specimen, all in black, more shadow than substance, more figment than flesh. Tristan was a trifle disturbed to find he'd conjured such a singular delusion, but, questions of sanity aside, a boy on a roof must spark a tiny flicker of interest, even in a chest that had remained resolutely dark and shuttered for weeks. The boy wasn't doing anything wrong, just lying there on his back, quite motionless, staring up at the sky. Still, a boy on a roof. No good would come of that. Perhaps he should alert someone. It was what a proper neighbour would do. No doubt Everleigh hadn't the faintest idea there was a boy on his roof. Even the most perceptive of men might overlook such a thing, and Everleigh wasn't the most perceptive of men. Tristan had never cared much for his lordship, Everleigh being a shifty, squinty-eyed creature, but neither would he stand about gaping while a child thief stripped the man of all his worldly possessions. Whether the boy was real or a product of Tristan's fevered imagination remained in question, but if he wasn't a phantom, he was certainly a thief. There could be no innocent explanation for his presence on Lord Everleigh's roof. After all, Tristan knew a thief when he saw one. He'd been a Bow Street runner once upon a time. He couldn't say what he was now. An earl who lazed about and sipped port while his neighbour was robbed, apparently. Another useless earl. Just what London needed. Still, since fate had doomed him to a lifetime of aristocratic idleness, he was obligated to do the thing properly. So, after weeks spent haunting his townhouse, Tristan had reluctantly agreed to accompany his friend Lord Linden to White's tonight. He'd had vague notions of engaging in activities earls were meant to find amusing. Drinking, wagering, that sort of thing. But Tristan hadn't been amused. He'd found it all utterly pointless. He'd left early and was nearly home before it occurred to him White's was meant to be pointless. Pointlessness was, in fact, rather the point. Given that the evening had been a spectacular failure, Tristan didn't hold out much hope for any of the other gentlemanly pursuits London had to offer. Indeed, after tonight, he couldn't think of a single reason to remain in the city at all. Aside, perhaps, from the boy on Lord Everleigh's roof. Tristan retrieved his port, sank down into his chair, and tipped his glass against his lips. A proper earl didn't waste perfectly good port. The boy was bound to do something interesting sooner or later. Tristan was content to sip his port and wait until he did. And wait, and wait, and wait. Time didn't hesitate to take liberties with Tristan. The past few weeks had dragged on for years, but never had the minutes crawled by as reluctantly as they did now. The shadows lengthened, the fire burned to embers, the long case clock on the first-floor landing chimed the hours, and somewhere an entire civilization rose and fell again. And still, Tristan waited. Surely it was unnatural for any boy to remain motionless for so long. But even when it started raining, the lad never twitched. He simply lay there, still as a corpse. Tristan jerked to his feet, his empty glass tumbling to the floor. He peered down at the still figure, but it was too dark for him to tell if the boy's chest was moving. Was it possible he was a corpse? How the devil would a corpse end up on Lord Everleigh's roof? Then again...